Welcome to this new episode. Let's get started. It was already December and the milk trailer was full, so I went to sell the milk. I arrived very early, and when all the milk was weighed and transferred to the store's storage, they paid me almost 65,000 euros. I had 100,000 euros in my bank account again. After that, I had a good sleep. When I woke up in the morning, I sold my seed trailer to buy another one. I sold what I had for 60,000 euros and bought this one for 80,000 euros. After that, I started to create a solar farm with the rest of my money. I wouldn't call it a farm yet, but I have already bought the first piece. After 2 days, I also sold the front loader from the tractor with the bale fork. And finally, I sold my medium-sized tractor for 50,000 euros. Why? You will find out soon. In recent months, the sheep had a very good time and they produced a lot of wool. Soon it will be time to sell this too. The next day, Jack and I loaded all the pallets of wool onto the trailer so that I could sell them. I received almost 40,000 euros for it, which already reimbursed the money I spent on the sheep. The milk trailer was not completely full of milk, but I took it to sell as well. I managed to sell almost 28,000 liters of milk. My bank account became 60,000 euros fatter. I bought another dolly for 9,000 euros. I needed the dolly so that I could bring the seed transport trailer home, as it was originally designed for trucks. And I needed this bigger trailer to transport the soybeans at once that were still in the silo. I had to make money from everything I had. I really needed the money, even though I was already behind what was planned for this year. Please let me know in the comments what you think my plan was for this season. When I got to the store, the usual thing happened. They measured the crop, transferred it to the store's silo, and paid 77,000 euros for it. Not bad. Then, when I went home, I started cutting the forest island that reached into my field. The old memories came back, when I used to steal wood to make a living. Those were the good old days. And now I did the same thing again, only on my own land. I didn't have to worry about someone seeing me or being suddenly caught by the police. I have achieved a lot since then. And now allow me to tell you what I had planned for this season that I unfortunately missed. First of all, I sold one of the dollies because I didn't need it. After that, I also sold my big trailer because I didn't need it anymore. I also sold the harvester and the header. And yes, my plan was to plant cotton. I missed this as February and March are the planting season, but I already bought the harvester for it. I already have a planter and fertilizer, so I was ready to turn the soybean farm into a cotton farm. I also needed a cotton bale trailer. After checking the used market, I found a 355 horsepower Kloss semi-track tractor. I replaced the engine with a 445 horsepower engine. When I got home, I hitched up the plow and connected my field where I had cut down the many trees earlier. And since I like the edge of the field to be straight, the original field has been expanded a little. Not much, just a few meters. I wanted my field to be completely square, so I also cut out the other small forest island. So I took out the chainsaw and started cutting down one tree after another. I didn't sell what I cut out because I didn't want to deal with it. I just grinded it out. After a long time, I have also finished on this side what I showed earlier on the other side. Finally, my field was completely square. This increases the amount of crop and my well-being. And it's not the last thing that if it turns out that way, Jack will be able to work on it more easily. When I was done with everything on the farm, I bought a new mower set that I could attach to the front and back, thus increasing the width. All this so that I can cut the grass faster for the animals. Then I went home. I have fenced off my area so I know where to cut the grass. I didn't want to get in trouble for something as small as mowing the grass on the neighbor's lot. So I quickly marked my land with a fence. It seemed like the easiest solution. Then I started mowing the lawn. I did a lot that day and I was tired. I had to sleep. The next day when I woke up, the first thing I did was, as always, feed the cows. They eat a lot. Half a wagon of TMR is used up every day. And after feeding, I had to buy a windrower to be able to bale the grass. This is how I chose this Krone Swadro 2000. It is 19 meters wide, which collects the cut grass very quickly. When you use a windrower, it takes hay, grass, or straw from a wide area and puts it in one neat row. That's easier to pick up with a baler. It not only facilitates, but also speeds up work processes. As you can see, the wider it is, the fewer times it has to go over the cut grass. After 2 months, I got bored of having to mix the TMR every day. First, I sold my current wagon for 28,000 euros. The 22,000-liter wagon was small, so I looked in the store for a 45,000-liter mixer wagon so that the food I mix in it would be enough for the cows for at least 2 days. After a few months of rest, the milk trailer was full and it was time to sell the milk. Unfortunately, on the way to the store, I had an accident and hit my head. That's why I can't tell you what happened at the store, because I don't remember it. I only know based on the invoices that I sold 32,000 liters of milk for 116,907 euros. Sorry guys, sometimes unfortunately something happens that makes me unable to show you one thing or another. February has slowly arrived. Before I started planting, I modified the farm again. I tore down a part of the fence because I wanted to build a new shed there. There were many trees in the way, so I had to cut them down. But like before, instead of selling, I grinded it. And that's why I cut down the trees, instead of removing them right away, because I have a vision. If I immediately remove it with the chainsaw, I can still see these trees from afar. And as I get closer to these trees, they disappear, because in fact they have already been cut down. I don't know, maybe it's because of my accident that I have such visions, but I prefer to properly cut down and then grind the trees. When I was done with all this wood cutting, I bought and built this shed for 38,000 euros. And then I went to sell the milk. Unfortunately, the price of milk was not so good now. It has decreased since the last sale, but I still got 61,000 euros. A good amount of wool has also been collected in recent months. I received a total of 76,000 euros for 26,000 liters of wool. It was also worth buying the sheep. But I didn't go home empty-handed. I found a Fendt tractor in the shop. It got a new engine, so it had 417 horsepower. And the usual Michelin tires couldn't be left behind either. The total amount for which I bought it was 340,000 euros. I also bought a weight for it, which I painted a nice green. I had to take both my tractors home, but I didn't want to walk back to get it, so despite the fact that it's not a vehicle transport trailer, I solved the problem. It was time to go home. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about planting cotton. However, I will end this episode here and continue the next one from here. Thank you for being here. If you liked this part, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Bye guys.